Welcome back to the Sharing English podcast, where we explore stories from the English-speaking world, spoken slowly and clearly for curious English learners like you. Let's get started. Hi, everyone. I'm your host, Freya. Today, we're talking about one of the biggest holidays in the United States, Thanksgiving. It's a holiday full of stories, symbols, food, controversy, and perhaps most importantly, tradition. This episode will follow a journey. First, we'll look at the traditional story Americans learn as children. Then we'll talk about the real historical story behind the first Thanksgiving. After that, we'll explore how Thanksgiving became a national holiday, how it's celebrated today, and how other countries have their own Thanksgiving-style holidays. Let's begin. If you grow up in the United States, you usually learn a simple, friendly story about the first Thanksgiving in school. It often goes something like this. A group of English settlers called the Pilgrims traveled on a ship called the Mayflower and landed at a place we now call Plymouth in Massachusetts in 1620. The winter was very hard and many of them died. According to the traditional story, a local indigenous man named Squanto helped the Pilgrims learn how to plant corn and survive in this new land. After their first good harvest, the Pilgrims invited their indigenous neighbors, the Wampanoag people, to share a big meal. Together, they ate turkey, corn, and pumpkin, and celebrated friendship, peace, and cooperation. It's a very comforting story. Many American children used to even dress up as Pilgrims and Native Americans for school plays. But as adults, we've learned that the real history is more complex and much less peaceful. Historians today agree that there was a harvest celebration in 1621 between about 50 English settlers and around 90 Wampanoag men. But the context was very different from the simple story children learn. First, the Wampanoag people had lived in the area for thousands of years. They were already deeply affected by European diseases, which had killed many in the years before the Pilgrims arrived. The Wampanoag leader, Massasoit, entered into a political alliance with the settlers, not simply a friendship. The Wampanoag helped the Pilgrims survive because they saw potential strategic value in an alliance. Second, the meal itself was not a cheerful holiday feast. It was more likely a diplomatic meeting and a celebration of the harvest. The food was different too, probably venison, which comes from deer, fish, and corn, not turkey, stuffing, or pumpkin pie. Most importantly, this celebration did not lead to long-lasting peace. Within a generation, the relationship between English colonists and indigenous nations broke down, leading to violence, land theft, and war. For many Native American communities today, Thanksgiving is a day of mourning and remembrance, not celebration. Understanding this history helps us see that Thanksgiving, like many holidays, is a mix of myth and reality. Thanksgiving did not become a national holiday until the 19th century, more than 200 years after that 1621 harvest. During the American Civil War in the 1860s, a writer and magazine editor named Sarah Josepha Hale, who also wrote Mary Had a Little Lamb, campaigned for a National Day of Thanks. She believed it could help unite the country during a very divided and violent time. In 1863, President Abraham Lincoln declared a national Thanksgiving Day in November. Over time, it became a yearly tradition. Later, in 1941, the U.S. Congress officially set Thanksgiving as the fourth Thursday of November, which is still the date used today. Today, Thanksgiving is one of the most important family holidays in the United States. Most people travel, sometimes long distances, to sit down together for a big meal in the afternoon or early evening. Traditional food dishes often include roast turkey, stuffing, mashed potatoes and gravy, cranberry sauce, green bean casserole, sweet potatoes, and pumpkin or pecan pie. Every family adds their own favorite dishes, influenced by culture, region, and personal taste. We also often celebrate by watching the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. In New York City, this parade fills the streets with giant balloons, music, marching bands, and performers. Many families watch it on TV while preparing the Thanksgiving meal. American football is also a big part of the holiday. The NFL hosts several games on Thanksgiving Day, and many high schools or local communities hold their own, quote-unquote, Turkey Day games. Fun fact, my favorite team, the Detroit Lions, always plays a game on Thanksgiving Day. This started back in 1934, when their owner moved the team to Detroit and used the Thanksgiving Day game as a way to boost public interest. 30 years later, the Dallas Cowboys did the same thing by hosting their own Thanksgiving Day game to boost national interest. These days, the Detroit Lions and Dallas Cowboys always play a game on Thanksgiving Day, and now there's usually a third game also played on Thanksgiving. The day after Thanksgiving is, of course, known as Black Friday, and it's one of the biggest shopping days of the year. In recent years, some stores began opening on Thursday evening, starting their sales before Thanksgiving was even over. This led to controversy, with many people criticizing the move for taking workers away from their families. And then some stores have reversed that policy. The idea of giving thanks for a harvest or a successful year exists in many cultures. Canada has its own Thanksgiving, celebrated on the second Monday of October. It developed from different harvest traditions and is not connected to the Pilgrims, like in the US. Liberia, a country founded in the 19th century by formerly enslaved African Americans, celebrates Thanksgiving on the first Thursday of November with its own unique food and customs, depending on each family. Grenada celebrates Thanksgiving to remember the U.S. intervention that ended a political crisis in 1983. And of course, many countries have harvest festivals that serve a similar purpose, like in Korea or China, or harvest festival traditions in the UK. Many of these celebrations often focus on gratitude, family, food, and community, much like American Thanksgiving does today. Thanksgiving is one of the most beloved holidays in the United States, but it's also a holiday with a complicated history. By understanding both the myth and the reality, we can appreciate the traditions many families enjoy, while also recognizing the experiences of indigenous communities and the broader historical context. Now I'm curious, do you celebrate some form of Thanksgiving or a harvest festival in your country? What traditions are involved? Let me know. Thank you for listening to the Sharing English podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, I'd love it if you'd subscribe, leave a rating or review, and share the podcast with a friend who's also learning English. You can find out more about me and the podcast at our website, www.sharing-english.com. New episodes of the Sharing English podcast are available weekly wherever you listen to podcasts. As always, let me know, what topics are you interested in hearing more about? Until next time, keep listening, keep learning, and keep sharing English.